I've never started a homily like that before. I've done that in a homily before, but I've never started a homily like that before. On Thursday morning, I woke up, and one of the first things I woke up to is that we had seen black smoke for the second time, I think around 5 a.m. or something like that, our time. And so I go into the chapel for the morning mass, and we pray a mass for a small Augustinian feast for Our Lady of Grace. And so we celebrated the mass, and then I get changed into my Augustinian habit, and I go into the teacher's lounge, kind of walking in the lounge for the first time, and one of the teachers says, white smoke. And this is maybe 20 seconds since the white smoke had happened. I didn't know about this yet. And sometimes being the chaplain, being the priest, you think you kind of know it all or something, and I was like, no, it was black earlier or something. He was like, no, it's white. And I look at his computer screen, I say, oh. I run to my office, and I know there's about maybe an hour until the new pope is going to come out. And of course, the deacon comes out, and he starts with, Annunciam Magnum Gaudium. We have this great news. We have a new pope. And I hear, Robertum Franciscum Prevost. My hand did, I slapped my desk. I said, it's Prevost, it's Prevost. Oh my gosh. And I said something else I won't say here. I open my door, it's playground time, it's recess. I open my door, I yell at the students, it's the Augustinian. And they all get startled and look at me like, oh, wow. I go back, I sit down. There was another student in my office watching with me who definitely didn't hear what I had said. And I ripped out a piece of paper. I'm not going to rip out this paper, but I ripped out a piece of paper and I wrote, Leo the 14th is the Pope. He's excused, Father Max. I said, sit here, you're watching this with me. This is important. So he comes out on the balcony, and of course he says what he says, and you could tell he had tears in his eyes. He was emotional. It was very special. He's not necessarily a really emotional person by nature. He's a very connective person. He's a good listener, but he's not very expressive in that sense. And I was just so tremendously excited. And unbeknownst to me, this thought never crossed my mind the entire time, but as he was on the balcony, every news station in the world was Googling, who are the Augustinians and how do we find them? The phone starts ringing at the school off the hook, as it does at our Providence offices, and I get a text from our principal, Mr. Horn, who says, NBC News will be here in 10 minutes. So I was like, oh, I guess I got to get out of my office there. So I go to the patio, and if you saw the news clips, you saw our beautiful patio there, racy patio. And KUSI is there, and Fox 5 is there, and ABC 10 is there, and NBC is there, and the Union Tribune shows up. And what essentially happens is this funny thing, because of course they want to talk to the priest, and they want to talk to the principal, and they want to talk to the teacher, whatever. We start rotating reporters. I go talk to this reporter, I go talk to that reporter. We start this kind of reporter rotation. And as the afternoon went on, Leo the 14th is originally from the Midwest province, the Chicago province. With time, their office closed at 5 p.m. Central Time. So they start calling us on the Pacific because our office was still open. We were only at 3 o'clock. So I did an interview with Australian radio of all, people were just scrambling, find the Augustinians. And I did Friday morning, 5:30, LA local news, 6. I did Kogo a few times. It's been crazy. It's finally calmed down now. I'm not interesting to them anymore, thank God. But it's tremendously exciting. And I told you at the beginning of the Mass, I had the connection with him of when I was a first-year seminarian, when I arrived at the seminary, he had just concluded 12 years of being prior general of the Augustinians. So he was very well known. He was the #1 Augustinian all around the world, so he was traveled. He went all across the world visiting various Augustinian places. He's been here to San Diego multiple times. He actually celebrated the 90th anniversary of St. Augustine High School in 2012. And he was wearing a priest chasuble that had a big STA in purple on it. And just the other day, we took it out of we got to rescue that chasuble. We just sent it to the dry cleaners because we're going to put it in a display case or something with pictures of that day and pictures of Leo. And anyway, that's a different project we'll be working on. But, he was my formator. He was my boss, if you want to think of it like that. And I lived with him for a few months. The picture that you see on the news is a picture of us on Thanksgiving Day 2014. We had a tradition of taking like the family photo, if you want to think of it like that, the 12 of us or whatever we were in the house, on the steps in front of the friary in Chicago on Thanksgiving morning every year. And then we put the photo up, and every year you get the family photo, right? And so he's in it, and I'm there over his shoulder. I'm over everyone's shoulders, so I'm always over shoulders in photos. So he's there, and I'm not sure, I really don't remember whether we knew he had been named a bishop yet, or if that was coming the following Monday. Because I know December 12th, he was being consecrated bishop in Peru, in Chiclayo. I don't know if on Thanksgiving Day we knew that yet. If not, we were about to find out without knowing. So our destinies were about to converge at that point. He's a really wonderful, wonderful man. It is kind of crazy to think that I've sat on a couch and watched a White Sox game with him. He loves the White Sox. But he's an incredibly intelligent man. He's down to earth. He's a canon lawyer by trade. But really what it is that he's a missionary at heart. After he got his doctorate in canon law, he goes down to the missions in Peru where we, the Augustinians, are very active. And he's a missionary priest for many years. And he had to ride donkeys in the villages to get around. And he's a very humble man. He's a very normal person. He's down to earth. I think he's just going to be tremendously wonderful. And today is Good Shepherd Sunday, the fourth Sunday of Easter. And I think it's providential that we get to celebrate a new pope on this first Sunday, regathering to celebrate the sacred mysteries. One connection, he took the name Leo, which is a very important name. We haven't had a Pope Leo in 125 years, thereabouts. And there's an important connection between Pope Leo XIII, the previous Leo, and the current Leo XIV. In the 1800s, late 1800s, the Order of St. Augustine, we the Augustinians, were not in a good place. Vocations were down, our churches were struggling, no one was joining the order. It was a very tough time. We had dwindled to about 700 members worldwide. And the prior general at that time was a little bit not right in the head, and he ordered everyone, stop taking vocations, close the novitiates, don't take any new people, we'll die out and we're done. And a few Augustinians, kind of being the cranky friars that we are, went around him and went to Pope Leo XIII and said, you got to get rid of this guy because he's told us to close up shop. Leo XIII had a connection to us. He was not an Augustinian, but he grew up near a town called Genenzano outside of Rome. It's like from here to Oceanside for us. And in Genenzano, there's a shrine dedicated to our Mother of Good Counsel. It's an icon about this big, and it's got the image of Our Lady holding a baby Jesus. And she's at the heart of our order. We're very devoted to her, our Mother of Good Counsel. Actually, the Chicago province where Leo XIV is from is dedicated to our Mother of Good Counsel. So Leo grows up near this town, and he's very devoted to the Augustinians, so he agrees. And he does a very Italian thing. They give the guy a promotion, so he has to disappear. And then they put in a new guy. And that's important to our history here, because this is the late 1890s. In 1922, 25 years later, the Augustinians come here. The first Augustinian, Father Alphonse Martel, gets off a train in Santa Fe Station in September of 1922, and he comes right here to St. Vincent's Parish to open St. Augustine's School for Boys. For the first year of our school was here on this property. It moved the next year to North Park. So we are directly connected to all of this, that Pope Leo XIII saves the order of St. Augustine, allows eventually the Augustinians come here to San Diego, St. Augustine High School, all this very exciting stuff. And it just kind of shows how we are in the hands of the Good Shepherd. Old orders like ours that go back to 1244, we can talk about having good centuries and bad centuries. The 1800s were a bad century for us, but God's hand was always at work. We had a Leo XIII who saved our order, that then leads us to having a Pope Leo XIV, who now gets to lead his church. If Leo XIII doesn't intervene, who knows what happens. That's how all of our destinies are so intertwined in this way, but God's hand is always at work. Thursday, I told you that we had celebrated Mass for a small Augustinian devotion, Our Lady of Grace. And it's an Augustinian devotion because Augustine is the doctor of grace. And so we have a son of Augustine being elected on the feast of Our Lady of Grace, an Augustinian devotion. And he is also the son of the province of our Mother Good Counsel that was revered by Pope Leo XIII. And guess where yesterday Pope Leo XIV went for his first official foreign visit? Because once he steps foot outside the Vatican, he's in Italy, it's a foreign visit. He went straight to Genazzano, and he knelt before our Mother Good Counsel, and he entrusted his pontificate to her. So how blessed we are to have Pope Leo to lead our church in the Petrine office. We are so very blessed. I'm so incredibly excited. And all I say in Latin, ad multos annos, many, many years to Pope Leo XIV. Amen.